Good morning. Hello. Hope you're having a good weekend. This is my outlook for the week. In terms of news this week, it's pretty quiet. We've got Powell speaking on Wednesday evening, my time. Other than that, nothing really too important to pay attention to. We are pretty much in the clear as far as news events are concerned. Okay, so getting straight into Bitcoin. Now, the big change last week was obviously that we did eventually find acceptance within this previous 7-week composite. So we gave the retest the underside, and we've rallied up to a significant area of resistance here, being previous quarter's value low, previous month's VWAP, kind of the midpoint of this range, this LVN. So pretty significant confluence in this 85, 86K area. We have now gotten above this 3-day composite, and we've left behind an imbalance here. We're also trading above the developing month's value. So, having reclaimed value here, our expectation should be for traversal up to 88, 89K area. And I think if we can hold in this imbalance and the developing month's value high, that is quite likely to materialize. So there is, we have seen quite a bit of build up of open interest in this area, but it's not looking terrible. It's well supported by spot buyers at the moment. So for more upside, I'm essentially looking for this region here to hold as support now. We've got the 3-day composite high, monthly value high, and this imbalance and this demand. If that does hold, then I think we can look towards this 88 to 89K area where we've got these kind of equalish highs. So that's really what I'm looking for near term from BTC coming into the balance of the weekend and possibly into early next week. The other scenario, of course, is that we lose this and come lower again, in which case we're probably going towards this level, I would suggest, at around 82K, 82.5, where we've got Saturday's low to clean up and the 3-day composite low and previous month's value low, all lining up around this area. So you've got support potentially here, and in case we get a deeper pullback, it would be into here that I would be looking. So that's it really for BTC right now. I think, personally, I took a long around 80K last week. I took profit yesterday at this level, and I'm pretty much done with Bitcoin for now. I think there are other things which we'll look at in a moment, which are a bit more interesting near term, such as ETH, for example, which I think we'll probably see put in a bit of outperformance near term before we do get a correction. So my sort of gut feel is that we probably go higher and then get a bigger correction from this area, perhaps come back and test this region thereafter. That's kind of gut feel, but we'll see. So I think in terms of the bigger picture now, let's just come to that and look at long-term VWAPs. So, clearly things have changed, right? We've started printing bullish market structure. We've started reclaiming developing value, and we just come into, as I say, a pretty significant area of resistance here. So if we can definitively reclaim the developing years value, I think our upside target becomes yearly VWAP, perhaps even previous quarters, but somewhere around that region. So, we've had multiple attempts at the developing years value low since losing it back in February. We are potentially now finding some acceptance above that level. So, perhaps if we get a retrace into this area later in the week, it would be a good place to buy and look for a swing up towards yearly VWAP. That's broadly how I'm thinking about things at the moment. So, clearly got some demand here around this 82, 83 area, which gives more confidence to that level. And as I say, provided we can hold above the developing year's value, then we become rotation in the developing year and we can target yearly VWAP. It's quite simple. So we'll see how it evolves short term, but that's kind of the bigger picture perspective. I think provided we stay above 82K and hold this composite low, then I think we're targeting up to yearly VWAP and potentially the 90-day, which sits around the same level, 91K. That is it for now in terms of BTC. So we'll see how it evolves. Right, ETH. Let's take a look. BTC pair, first of all, looks like death. Obviously, it's just been down and down, down. But we have found some support here. And we're trying to reclaim the developing month's value. So put some decent excess into this level today. And it looks like a reasonable low to me as things stand. So potentially looking for, as I say, a bit of ETH outperformance in the near term. In terms of the USD pair, taken the long. Where is it? yeah, based on weekly value really. So we'll look at the monthly in a moment as well. Let's come to the hourly. So we've been oscillating around this previous area of value. This was a good retest last week. Pushed into the composite, bit of an imbalance here tested, and we've retested developing week's value high and taken out this flat candle. So I'm looking for this area, this low to hold really. It's possible, potentially we could do that and come and retest the composite lows again, but I've taken along at 1605, so I'm hoping that this low holds and this imbalance holds, and then targeting up towards the 90-day rolling VWAP, or the 30-day rather, which is confluent with monthly value high. So we obviously reclaimed monthly value here, gave the return pullback into monthly value low, and I'm just looking for that completion of the move up to monthly value high. And we also have this flat candle here, right? We've got this flat 4-hour candle to sweep. So potentially a sweep of that would be a good upside target. So you've got the 30-day rolling VWAP, monthly value high, and this imbalance in this region of supply, which would be a good upside target for the time being. So that's what I'm looking for ETH. We'll see how it plays out over the coming hours. And then I suspect, as I say, typically when you get these ETH-led moves, that tends to be it for the market, and we tend to see a bigger correction thereafter. So potentially, if we do get this move today or into tomorrow, I'll be looking to take some shorts into the early part of next week. But that's it for ETH. So looks okay, at least for now. Obviously, whether that plays out is probably going to be contingent on BTC holding this area. If we lose sort of 84k and start bleeding lower, it probably doesn't play out. So we're talking about a sort of 10% move on ETH from this level, and then potentially a sort of 5% move on BTC from here up to here. Oops, wrong one. Yeah. So roughly what you'd sort of broadly expect, I suppose, from the relationship between those assets. So Solana looks pretty good. Let's just zoom out to start with. So we obviously lost this 8-month, came and tested this 3-week composite. Good reaction here. And then retested it in the middle part of last week. It took a long last week. Didn't get in on this move, unfortunately. But we are now back within previous month's value and above the 8-month composite low. So provided this 125 level holds, we can certainly look higher. We've got this naked VWAP. It is a naked VWAP, and then potentially up towards previous month's value high. So you also got the developing month's value converging with previous month's value low. So this level around 125, potentially going to be a good area to bid if we get there. Good area to look for longs, and then target one, just looking to play through the previous month. So we've got supply in that area around 138, 139, and then 150 area. We've got overlapping levels here. So that would be the plan for Sol, looking for 125 area to hold on a retest, and then targeting up to 138 and possibly 150. I do expect ETH to outperform near term, but obviously probably not in the long term. So yeah, Solana looks pretty good as things stand, provided this developing month and previous month's value level holds. So in terms of other stuff, so Fartcoin looks very toppy, or it's lost momentum. I took a scalp shot on it yesterday, but I would look for potentially a sweep of the high to actually get into a swing short. So the way I'm sort of thinking about this is we're obviously just forming a range here, right? Let's just redraw this, and then I'll go through how I'm thinking about it. So first thing to say about Fartcoin is and I won't go through loads of alts, I'll probably just do a couple. But Fartcoin has come into a massive area of resistance, right? So developing year's value high, previous quarter's value high, big, lots of confluence here. Now, that may be the double top done. It may just be that it's going to roll over from here. If that's the case, there's no real short setup for me, and it was very difficult to actually get short. I did take a scalp short on it yesterday. I think it was here, but really, there's no real actionable setup unless we perhaps lose this and then something sets up lower down. But what I would like to see to get short would be another spike higher, because there isn't really any downside momentum yet, right? So it's still just range bound. Arguably that's the range. It doesn't really matter. Somehow I seem to have got different levels or different tools there. Anyway, what I want to see, potentially one more squeeze higher, just take out all of the early shorts, a high volume move, and then perhaps something like this where that initial high gets swept on lower volume, and we just get that sort of typical topping pattern that you see so often in crypto. So if we get that squeeze, high volume rejection, and then just one more little push above it, that's where I'd like to take the short. And that would be a decent swing, I think, back towards the kind of 60s, mid 60s, if I zoom out. Be looking for this area to get a retest, at least this imbalance. So potentially a decent swing short there, and then I'd be looking to get long again in this area, targeting up to 125, where you've got this low volume node. I haven't got volume profile on, but you can see, right, rejecting here. The naked VWAP here as well. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about Fartcoin. Certainly not looking to get long at the moment. Maybe a decent long up to this area, but yeah, more interested in playing swing shorts from here and swing longs from down here. So we'll see how it develops. But I think, if we get this ETH pump today, Fartcoin perhaps gets one more leg up. It would be a decent setup. And then other stuff, Hype, I sold some yesterday. We came into previous month's value high. So it was a pretty good move. I got in initially around here and then here, and then I just bought spot, but I sold a bit here. So going forward, I'd look for developing month's value high to hold on a retest, confident with these previous highs. So you've got a really nice level of confidence here now around the mid 14s. So that's all I'm really looking for on Hype. Just going to move this alert down actually. Oops. And then I'd be looking at towards around 18s next, where we've got an old composite. I think there's an imbalance in this area, here, and the 90-day rolling VWAP. So, yeah, decent area to retest around the low 14s, looking for a move towards the 18s. So it's quite clean. I guess we'll leave it there. I don't want to go over, a ton of different coins. I think Popcat is quite similar to Fartcoin. I'd be looking for a similar short setup, and then a retest around the low 20s potentially. So similarly again, potentially decent short, and then potentially decent long down here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I don't have much else to say for now, guys. So we'll see how the week plays out, and I'll catch you next time for an update. Cheers.